Alright. I believe we are now live, guys. And I do apologize. I am not at my usual setup. So it is hard for me to make this shit work correctly, if you will. But I wanted to kind of forward some information to you guys that is very, very, very important right now. Especially on the brink of a Gemini MasterCard release. Guys, lock the fuck in. Alright? If you know, you know. But I'm gonna let this dude, this fine nigga, tell you about it. You feel me? With that being said, obviously, my channel is gonna get censored anyway, just for how I'm talking crazy right now. But even now, with how we're talking about XRP, the last few videos I've dropped, and the last, you know, like, guys, we're so deep into the rabbit hole now that they're not bringing us back, and they will censor my channel. And honestly, I don't care. This channel has always been made to just get my message out there, and for me to always come back to it later on in the future, and just kind of track everything that I'm doing during these times, so that one day, later on, years, decades from now, I can look back and watch these videos and have fun. So with that being said, we're going to go get into the live stream for you guys. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. And I believe here you guys can check the description and see some of my references down below. We have Ledger, Wallet, the Uphold, Exchange, and Caleb and Brown down below, guys. When exchanges go down, Caleb and Brown is still around. And with that being said, we will have a Gemini Exchange referral code loading soon as well. So let's get into the video, guys. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Rather, I'm not going to talk about too much. I want you guys to just take this information for what it is, alright? So we're going to get into it and get real, guys, here. We can check the crypto bubbles. Market-wide, we were down like 6-5%. Whatever, guys. They're trying to shake people out. Chill the fuck out. They're trying to shake people out. Because what really matters and what really happened today, I'm going to let this gentleman explain. When we listen to Verson and David go over everything that's going on kind of market-wide in 1 hour here, you guys will understand what I'm talking about. 6% is that's hilarious. LOL. Alright, guys, so listen to this guy.
Financial advice, not legal advice, for entertainment, educational purposes only, and anything I say is my opinion. Please don't make any.
We will not be here long.
Based on anything I say in these videos.
I got shit to do.
Double check you're still subscribed to the channel. Double check your notifications are on. And if you hit that like button or comment, double check it's working properly. Because they are working overtime, suppressing the channel.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Videos, suppressing the comments, suppressing the likes. Because they are terrified of more people becoming aware of all the fraud and corruption in the United States stock market. Guys, XRP is going to change the entire global financial landscape, okay? And I'm not telling anybody to buy, hold, or sell XRP, but just look at all the catalysts. Look at everything that's going on with XRP. You got Gemini, and Gemini, you know these guys, they hated XRP. They were straight Bitcoin enthusiasts. They didn't want to hear anything about anything else except for Bitcoin. And now, not only are these guys borrowing $150 million from Ripple XRP, they now, based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm reading, they're going to have a XRP Gemini MasterCard coming out probably Monday, August 25th. What does that tell you about what they see when it comes to XRP? When you have these twins who was, when I tell you that these guys were over the top when it came to Bitcoin, and very, very negative when it came to XRP 10 years ago, look what they're doing now. They want to collaborate with Ripple XRP. They want an XRP credit card. What does that tell you? When you have a Bitcoin enthusiast who you guys know has access to more information than you and I. They have more information, access to more information than you and I. And they are moving away from Bitcoin. Not saying they sold all their Bitcoin, but they're moving away from Bitcoin and putting out a XRP MasterCard. I mean, in my opinion, this is a major, major development because we done flipped some Bitcoin enthusiasts. We flipped some Bitcoin enthusiasts. They now...
Yo, talk your shit, Unc. Talk your shit, Unc.
Want to be on the XRP team. And guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many companies laying in the cut, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for them XRP spot ETFs to be approved. And when that happens, the floodgates are going to be open. There's going to be trillions of dollars of institutional money coming in. And XRP going to start running to the moon. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Gary Gensler.
I feel like in another timeline, bro, this was the black dude with Bitcoin, bro. Same guy. In another timeline, bro, I swear to God. This guy right here. Bro, this is this guy, but from another timeline. Y'all see they censor my channel. It don't even matter. I don't care. I'm going to talk my shit and post what I want to post. Because it's not like I was really going to get monetized on this bitch anyway. And if I am, I'm going to just drop a banger. I'll figure it out later, bro. Who cares? Listen, we're here to speak facts, alright? Because one person like me is not going to change, a lot of people's opinions. Well, let's get important here, alright?
And the SEC did us a favor. Well, they did me a favor because 10 years ago, 8 years ago, even 5 years ago, I really had no idea what XRP really was. But because Gary Gensler and the SEC...
Look, bro, Unc is spitting facts. They don't want you to know this stuff, guys. Notice how I was getting all these... Look, all the videos on scams and all this stuff get all the views. But the second somebody starts speaking facts and talking about XRP, suddenly no one wants to talk. Suddenly there's bots in my comments. Suddenly channel falls off a map. Bro, we're spitting out facts anyway. I will prevail. The information will prevail, guys, and I'm going to provide it with you in this live stream.
Attacked XRP on U.S. soil and kept the price down so low that a lot of us who would not have been in the play, we'd have probably been priced out the play, had an opportunity to buy XRP at these ridiculously low prices. And in my opinion, XRP is still ridiculously low because XRP is not efficient at these low prices. It's not. XRP has to be a whole lot higher. It has to be a whole lot higher to do what it does. And everybody knows it. Anybody who tells you anything different is not being truthful. Okay? It's not being truthful. XRP is more efficient at higher prices. But the fact that you got Gemini jumping on the XRP train after hating XRP for years and only pushing Bitcoin, that tells you how much the financial industry is going to depend on XRP in the future. Anyway, please leave some comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think that Gemini putting out an XRP MasterCard is a positive catalyst for XRP? Anyway, have a great day. God bless. I appreciate y'all on this journey with me.
Y'all, I absolutely fumbled that. I don't know if you guys see what I just did on Twitter there. It don't even matter. We're just trying to promote the word that we're live, guys. The setup sucks. Not the setup, but like I'm not used to the orientation of my shit right now. So I do apologize, but hold on. You know they gonna censor this shit, bro. Boom. Jesus Christ. All right, guys. So let's lock in and listen to what I really wanted to play in this live stream. I listened to this and I was like, whoa. Some of the stuff they're saying in here, it's like, this shit's just going to get censored. Like 7,000, 8,000 views, bro. They don't want people to realize this shit. I promise you. I promise you. They have the wrong shit go viral. All right? We got free bands meme coin being trending on Twitter over XRP. It doesn't make sense, guys. But let's go ahead. Shout out Verson. Shout out David. Very good people. Yo, they keeping it real with you guys. Listen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to The Turning Point. It's been a while. And before we do get started, I know many...
Before this even starts playing, guys, one more thing I have to say, guys. The Gemini XRP card is out. You can get 4% back. You earn XRP with every purchase. 3% on dining, 4% back, 2% on groceries. Everything else is 1%. Guys, the new financial system is going to be here soon. Metal card, limited edition. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, bro. So look, lock the fuck in and get ready. Get ready, bro. I'm telling you right now. This is better than any card a bank can give you. And even if the APR is super high and absolutely ridiculous, which it is, if you know how to manage your credit and you know how to manage your money correctly, this can be an absolute great fucking tool for you. And there are some that are out for 8% as well. But that's neither here nor there. Let's lock the fuck in, guys. Ethereum, it's a prop, it's a scam. Bitcoin is a scam. All this shit is a scam. XRP is the real shit. That shit is located all up in Antarctica. There's nothing else I have to say. I know I'm talking crazy, but it's just facts, bro. It's just facts.
Many of you are going to ask about Edo, so let me get straight to it. I just want everyone to know he's okay. He's just taking some time off for himself, and he's going to be back on the show when he's ready. And just to clarify, additionally, I've done everything I can to bring him back on. So when he's ready, we're all going to see him again. In the meantime, I'm so thankful that David is able to join us today. It has been a while. David, how's everything on your end?
It is fantastic. And by the way, I'm just thrilled to be able to get back in and be a part of the Turning Point. We've had by the way, for the audience, we've always been in relationship. There wasn't any kind of a pause or anything like that. It's just, our schedules had, collectively gotten so overwhelmed and full that, we had to take a step back. We had a big, transition and stuff like that. Judy got injured and all that. But, it's great to be back on. We've really just missed this community. And by the way, it gives me an opportunity to come in and offer a little bit more of my serious side, because on my own channel, I try to keep it light and encouraging and enthusiastic. But on this show, we get to some real brass tacks, and I value that so much. And I really appreciate that you really bring that to this community and this ecosystem, Verson, in a powerful way, man. Powerful way.
That's so kind of you. But we built this together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Four of us. It was Vindel, myself, Edo, and David. And we're going to still continue to keep this up. It's just everybody is busy. Our schedules have gotten a lot more hectic since. And that's simply because we're covering everything. But today, we do have a lot to talk about. We got to bring people up to speed. So we're going to leave the geopolitical stuff aside for this conversation. That takes hours and hours just to cover everything happening in the world. But I will clarify, aside from leaving the geopolitical stuff out, that geopolitics is the real crux between everything that's happening in the world. So today, hence the title, we're going to talk about XRP, Ethereum, and Ripple, and a few other things. But let's start with the Federal Reserve and the financial system overall. Right. Because we've discussed this so many times. We don't look at the political theater like what you see happening with Jerome Powell and Donald Trump, for instance. This back and forth is just political theater.
Show.
Exactly. But more importantly, for those who have eyes and understand how political narratives are set, this is a signal, right? Trump was openly calling for a weaker dollar way before he became president and lower rates. So the media is going to frame it as conflict, but the media is using that as a mechanism to get people to maybe look the other way. But the truth is the market's already pricing in rate cuts, and we can see this. And that's why there's so much volatility. And the uncertainty around it alone is designed to shake people out of their positions. And when this happens, they go to gold and silver. And we'll get into details about this, but the idea is to play offense and defense 24/7. So before we get into more detail, I want to hear your take on what do you think the central banks are going to do?
Well, I think the central banks are going to do what they've always done: inflate, inflate, inflate. I mean, that is the whole purpose of these central banks. The European Central Bank has had what, 12 to 14 rate cuts, in the last while. And, this whole dog and pony show between Jerome Powell and Trump, that is exactly what I've been calling it for many, many months now. It is a game. It is a game that's being played, because the reality is they want to do it. They want to do it as with as much, desire that you can possibly fathom. And the reason for that is the government can inflate their way out of debt. Of course, it destroys you and I. But the debt market is, the beating heart of all these markets. And we know right now the bond market, the Federal Reserve has been buying our bonds. Now, Janet Yellen came out and said this a long, long time ago. This is nothing new. It's nothing new. They literally turned around and said, look, we will provide a guarantee of, what they're going to be. And they went out and did that because the market hasn't shown up to buy. So who had to buy it? Well, of course, Federal Reserve. And, this is a way in which they manipulate and destroy the middle class. Let's be honest here. There is an agenda afoot, and it's to absolutely decimate, the middle class. I've always said on the channel that there is a big disconnect between the economy and the market. Now, the economy, obviously, you're watching major organizations file for bankruptcy protection, and you're watching insolvencies galore, big box stores closing, trucking companies literally shutting down that were major, major movers of product. We know that with the container industry that they're coming out, they've already said, hey, look, Merck, I think, said that there was a 40% decline in goods that are being moved, 40%. So that that the consumer is not out there consuming. Well, why is that? Because they've reached the max limit of what their credit will allow and all that. They've lost jobs, had to replace 2 or 3. So the economy is in a real bad state, regardless of what they want to say. The market, on the other hand, is going to react very positively to the Fed, with this QE. Why? Because it's the dollar. The dollar is going to collapse even further than it already has. And you'll watch the index fall under such tremendous pressure that anything measured against it, and especially commodities like gold and silver, are going to appreciate rapidly. And so my sense is Trump in his first, presidential term, he looked for a weakened dollar big time. Why? Because, of course, this benefited all the, the market friends of his. Same situation here. The whole idea of the tariffs and all that is not just to boost manufacturing in this country. Maybe that's a big part of it, but this is a constructed demolition. Right. Basically is what I see it as. It's been orchestrated, Versan. They've been planning this for a long, long time. This is not knee-jerk reactions to market conditions. That is utter hogwash, because, when you would have thought, when you would have thought we would have seen the biggest market crash and stuff like that was when all this was going down, right? Everybody was out of work. There was no shipping, no manufacturing, service businesses. Look, you couldn't even barely go to a restaurant, doors closed, everything like that. Yet we experienced one of the biggest secular bull markets the world has ever seen. How is that even possible when no one's buying, shipping, or selling goods?
Yeah,
because of central banks, coordinated central banks. In fact, I've got a clip that I've shown on my channel where the Prime Minister of Canada at the time, Justin Trudeau, said this provides us for an opportunity for a reset. A monetary reset. Isn't it interesting that language has completely almost evaporated? You don't hear of the Great Reset anymore. They coined the phrase.
Yeah. Well, the reset has already kind of happened.
It's already happened. They have flipped that switch. We're just now, the train is on the tracks.
That's right.
It's just we're heading to the station, and the ultimate destination, as far as I'm concerned, is the complete implosion of this current fiat system into a new digital system. And I would like, if I can, I'm going to share something. And I know I don't want to
Sure.
take, but I want to hear your input on this, because this is something that I share oftentimes. And I'm just going to share my screen to show people where I'm coming up with this, kind of like narrative,
Of course.
the scenario.
I mean, all the information is really out there, so it's good.
Yes.
Play the video so that way we can
Yeah.
reinforce what's
Well,
already been happening.
I was just going to, I could probably do that, but I wanted to just share this screen here. I'm just going to have to see how I can. Oh yeah, there it is. This it here?
It's been a while, right?
Yeah, there it is. Share screen. Yeah, it has been a while, but let me just show you this. Now, can the community see this that I see? Okay, so this is the AtlanticCouncil.org. They are not a blockchain organization per se, but they have a lot of information. Now, if we were just to page down on this here, let me just get over to where I want to be. And we're
Now, realistically, what's the likelihood that a crazy facility like this is in Antarctica? I'm just saying, David Schwartz was there. Facts. That's facts.
just a page down. This is a very interesting, slide. You go down here, and they have an interactive map for the wide world. I mean, you literally have every country practically on Earth, certainly the G20, along with many others. And by the way, as you click on these things, like for instance, these are all interactive. You can see. Now, you're telling us they want us to believe. I mean, right down here, and I love to say, to the Federated States of Micronesia, they're building the infrastructure for a new digital economy. Yet they want to tell us or cause us to believe that, oh, no, 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 don't worry, we're not doing any of that. That is absolutely ridiculous. Let me just see if I can't shut that off. There we go. That is ridiculous that they want us to believe that, but they are putting the infrastructure in place to move us into a brand new digital economy. That is a fact. They did not build those rails, billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. And the whole infrastructure, if they have no intention of using it. So if you want me to comment on the quantitative easing, it's just they're blowing up the balloon bigger and bigger until that thing bursts, and they introduce this. And I like to say oftentimes the same people who lit the fire will be the ones who show up with the hose. Oh,
Of
we got
course.
our solution. That's my
Yeah.
take on it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's a lot to unpack over there. And that's the interesting thing. It's all systemically connected. So essentially, QE, quantitative easing, and no matter what new label they're going to try to slap on it, they have no choice. I mean, we're entering another phase of a business cycle, too, where governments, central banks, and large financial institutions already need to refinance their debt. Basically, to your point, if they don't print, if they don't do QE, the whole system starts falling like dominoes. And this is where it gets interesting. It's not really in their interest to let it collapse outright. What they prefer is a slow, controlled demolition while they quietly build the new system, which bridges us into the new financial infrastructure via stablecoins and the digital rails. And let's not forget, Bloomberg, the Federal Reserve, all this stuff you see on mainstream media, these are lies. These are mainstream narratives that are simply designed to mislead people, right?
And we know that. I mean, they've come out and said many times. I mean, look, when they were pushing the narrative, oh, well, stay away from digital assets, da, da, da. There's nobody interested in that. Now the same people are pumping it like crazy. Of course, the whole Bitcoin, narrative there. I mean, that
We'll
has
get
got to
into
be
that in
the
a bit.
biggest, rug pull Ponzi scheme that there will ever be. But because it serves no purpose when we know that the infrastructure for this new financial system that we just saw there on that Atlantic Council is all being built. Who is the number one developer of CBDCs working with nation states to develop the evolution of their currency? It's Ripple. It's Ripple. And Edo, I mean, I think that the reason Edo's X account was so abruptly closed like that is he was starting to really, shine some light on some known facts that existed back in the 1980s about the plan that they have for us today.
Yeah, well,
And and you can see it. So to me, it's like, okay, they are intentionally giving us false narratives to believe something that's completely untrue. And but people are buying it. And this is the problem with not exercising or not being encouraged to continue to exercise your own personal critical thinking.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
almost
it's
been
all
about
about good judgment. And if
yes,
you look
yes,
at the cycles of Bitcoin, and not to derail, but every time it peaks, it
yeah,
starts to sell off, and that sell off aligns identically with stripping spectators of their gains. And
yeah,
what they don't realize is that they're actually giving their wealth to the wealthiest people who got into Bitcoin early. So basically, retail is the exit liquidity, and the institutions are there to make sure that the cycle is alive and the
yeah.
cycle continuously repeats. So
Yep,
it's
the
very
psychology
interesting.
of this market, and
But
the psychology is played.
mm,
And why does it work? You would think that most folks would clue in, but we don't. Because, and it works
yeah,
that way because these guys are experts at it. Human behavior is something that they know. See, they don't have to push us around with, thugs and guns and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they would if they had to, but they don't need to do that
of
because
course.
they can use one of their greatest tools in the toolbox, fear. Fear,
Yeah,
fear, 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 fear. And they propagate the message of fear to the point that people will literally acquiesce their own critical thinking, their own personal liberty. I mean, how many people went down for this whole deal, went just out of absolute fear, and it's turned out that all the quote unquote conspiracy folks were right. Isn't that
Look, guys, it's just look. I'm just providing the information out there, and maybe like 20, 30 years down the line, I'll come back and be like, damn, this shit is crazy that I even experienced this. There's just so much stuff out there. It's almost too hard to cover. But with that being said, I just need to cut this up real quick and understand, guys, I have taken advantage of this, and I seriously suggest that all of you guys look into this. Say goodbye to your traditional central bank credit cards and say hello to rewards with XRP. That's it. There's nothing else to say here, guys. My bank won't do this for me. So that's it. I don't have much else to say. We're going to keep going on with this. But yes, all the conspiracy theorists were correct. Yes, Ethereum, Bitcoin, it's all bullshit, guys. XRP is the real deal. The real McCoy. Do your research.
amazing?
yeah,
So you just can't trust it, no matter how well intentioned they come off. You just cannot trust it. And this is on my channel. I oftentimes say the answers that we find for ourselves are the ones that we genuinely trust the most. Why are
mhm,
we allowing ourselves to be spoon fed by a fifth estate that has
And I want to say something else as well. If I say anything crazy, wild on this channel, it's all 100% satire, comedy. I don't mean anything of it. I don't even believe it, guys. So when I say the gays, the women, and the trannies are tripping, what I mean is, bro, all the gay people, and not gay, but like all the wild, stupid, crazy people. Because listen, I know a lot of cool gay people, for real, for real. Shout out to the LGBTQ community. I don't associate y'all with like these videos and these terms when I talk like this. When I say like all these gay motherfuckers, all these gay niggas, all these trannies, bro, like all this weird shit, bro, all these labels, all this fucking weird shit that these people be doing, bro. Fuck all that, bro. Y'all need to listen and pay attention. But go ahead.
been
It's all satire. I don't mean none of it. Alright? All these gay people trying to fuck with Bitcoin and shit. Don't be one of them and buy XRP.
proven, decades long proven to be used by the powers that be to manipulate the masses. I have
of
no idea.
course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how the debt-based system was designed. It was
Mhm.
about central banking, really. It creates money out of thin air. It funnels that wealth straight to the top 1%, and
Mhm.
nothing has changed, right? Um,
Right.
so we're going to see a lot more printing, more rate cuts, and more excuses to justify it. And if I could derail to give
Yeah.
people an example and set the stage, but take commercial real estate, for example.
Mhm.
What happened 5 years ago, the pandemic, 2020? Well, those 5 year leases are about to expire. And what happened 5 years ago was the pandemic. Everyone was kind of forced to work from home, and you have all this commercial real estate just sitting there.
Right.
And that's a major crack in the financial system because companies never return back to the office, most companies, right? And
Most,
that
yeah.
crack alone could easily be used to justify more money printing as well if something like that were to fail. So
Oh
again,
yeah,
it's like
commercial
setting
real
the
estate
narrative.
collapse is on the horizon, and there's zero doubt
Mm,
about it. I mean, everyone can see that.
of
Yeah.
course. But then what happens if they start printing money? This is where it gets interesting and where there's pros and cons to this, right? Currency debasement is what follows inflation.
That's
But
right.
there's also asset inflation, and that's
Yep.
where we get wealthy, right?
Yes.
Prices of
Everything measured
financial,
against.
yeah, prices of financial assets get pumped very higher, and who
High.
benefits?
Yep.
It's the same institutions that borrow the
Yes.
money at lower rates that you and I could never get, for instance,
Never get.
and they're buying up everything that people are forced to sell because of the economic hardships. So that's where people start to get wealthy. It's the same playbook over and over, and the cycle continuously repeats. Now, this is the positive thing. If you understand how this works,
Yes.
and this is what we've been teaching for a very long
Yes.
time,
Long time.
you're positioned correctly then, because you're playing offense and defense, knowing which way the markets contract and expand. You can make a lot of money.
Identifying that psychology can really change your fortunes in such a powerful way. Now, how many folks do we know that saw their net worth significantly increase, but never realized any of those gains? One of the biggest tricks that these guys have in their book is they get you all pumped up on the illusion of your wealth, in that, you know, your assets have increased in value and all this and that. But you never, but you know, I oftentimes say it this way: a lot of people will have that whole fear of missing out, getting into a lot of different asset classes,
right?
but so many more people FOMO staying in, to the point where they don't realize those gains and transition those, like you love to say, Verson, into real world assets, physical gold, physical silver, land, various things that cannot be reproduced easily, certainly cannot be just devalued like that, because obviously they hold their own value. I mean, gold has held its value as money, a monetary instrument, from the time it was practically discovered. So, and we know, by the way, this is one of the fascinating things about gold. We know practically almost where we can account for practically every ounce of gold that was ever mined in the history of the wide world. That is phenomenal.
Traders, in this video, we'll walk you through our new AI crypto analysis tool that's revolutionizing how traders analyze markets. These professional-grade tools use artificial intelligence to identify accumulation patterns, track institutional movements, and provide probability-weighted price targets. You'll learn how to access our enhanced features, interpret AI-generated signals, and utilize the same analytical tools that institutional traders rely on. Watch the full video about this indicator on our official channel, and we'll show you which AI tools professional traders rely on in 2025 to understand future market movements. Click Watch Now to watch the full breakdown and take the way you invest to the next level.
But we can't.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of mistrust as well.
Yeah, well, with the paper market, the manipulation in gold with the paper market is ridiculous too.
Of course.
I mean, gold should be easily 10,000 an ounce right now.
Yeah, easy, or actually higher when you factor in all the debt and everything around it. But
Absolutely.
there are a lot of people that still don't trust governments, so they hide their gold as well. There are a lot of people out there hiding their gold. That's something
I
we have
think
to
there's
factor
some
in.
wisdom there, because we know in times past that they have done that. Look, if they had to revalue and they had to do it against gold, it only takes an executive order to basically take it out of the hands of the average person.
Yeah. I mean, and Trump has the executive authority to do such a thing. And it's interesting. You have to ask the question, well, why are they buying up all the gold? Why did they reclassify it to a tier 1 asset?
They're betting against their own system, aren't they?
Exactly. And that's why the Treasury Department has such a vested interest in physical gold as well. Even Scott Bessent talked about the realignment of the Bretton Woods system. I mean, that's not just hearsay, right? And this is where it gets interesting. Let's kind of shift the topic now into the Treasury market. You did bring that up. So when you start to zoom out into the Treasury market, the picture gets even clearer. The United States, the dollar is not really backed by anything tangible. It hasn't been for a very long time. It's backed by debt. And that is essentially the collateral. So the only real way out of this is to issue gold-backed bonds. But let's be honest, maybe that is something they could be planning. We don't know. I don't think so.
I think what I would throw this in there, I do believe that it will be a public-private partnership. And we know that the petrodollar is dead. I mean, come on, we know that all these oil-producing nations in OPEC are selling their oil in any kind of denomination that they want, not just US dollars. So that deal's done. It's done. But Scott Bessent also came out, and Trump was sitting right there when he said it, right beside him. We're going to underpin, we're going to strengthen or build up the dollar with stable coins.
That's what I was going to
Stable
get
coins
into.
that are going to be pegged, we think
Yeah.
alike, that are pegged to the dollar. There is going to be a form of digital gold. Now, some of these stable coins or the infrastructure behind the stable coin, that may be backed. Like the stable coin may be required to hold tier one assets like gold. But that stable coin will underpin, and that may breathe new life into the whole world reserve current, or the world reserve currency status of the US dollar. But I think it'll certainly be challenged. But I do
Yeah.
believe eventually this is going to lead to a single monetary instrument that will be mutually agreed upon. Remember, we're talking about a trustless system. Why? Because we don't have to trust one another. We can trust the protocols. And I think
Basically.
that's where it will eventually lead,
Yeah.
agnostic, something agnostic that is going to be backed. The system, the infrastructure will be backed by
Gold.
Yes.
Yes.
By
Well,
something
the
real.
thing is, see, in a digital economy, well, gold brings stability. It puts governments back in check and so forth. But gold can function again as collateral. And that's probably why they're making all these moves and trying to front run the public on this stuff. You never
Yes.
hear anything on Bloomberg really about gold, right? You never hear the narrative around gold because that is taking away financial freedom from people's sovereignty. But if you put gold back into the system, and I think this is where the gold can be the collateral, but then you need a mechanism to move that value. And I think that's still XRP. We've talked about this before.
Yes,
But
I think you're right. I think you're right, because gold will keep the value in that, but it is very difficult to move. I mean, how many tons can you move? And if you do move it, it's very costly to move it, of course, because the security that needs to be surrounded. I mean, God forbid that you put if Europe wanted all their gold out of Fort Knox, which I kind of wonder what's there, but I think that's one of the biggest state secrets that there is. But needless to say, let's say you were going to ship 2-3 tons of gold. The level of security, I mean, you're taking that over in an aircraft carrier, man. You're not putting on a container ship.
It's not practical.
It's not practical. So you have to be able, you're right. It has to be tokenized and you have to move it. That's where I believe XRP will definitely fulfill a major role.
Of course, absolutely. Just to kind of give people some context also about the debates around stablecoins. It's not really just about bridging us into a digital system. That is part of it for sure, but it's about creating a new brand for new demand mechanism for United States treasuries. Basically, they're looking for a buyer for U.S. debt. If nobody's buying it, like you said, right? They need a new buyer. Hence, they need a new source of liquidity. And they found it.
Stable coins are going to buy it because they're going to be required under the Genius Act. They're going to be required to hold U.S. treasuries. Hello, you think that was by happenstance? I mean, certainly by circumstance, but it wasn't by happenstance.
But happenstance,
no, it was a planned deal. And the same with the Clarity Act. When this thing comes down, look, these legislators, that pretend to, we're all debating. Look, they're not debating Jack. They know what's coming. Elizabeth Warren, come on, she knows there is no denying where we're going. They all know it.
I don't.
Theater.
Exactly. And they're all so corrupt anyways. I mean,
all of them.
This is where XRP does come into the discussion very briefly. Because the truth is, there's a double-edged sword for this. Okay. Because the reality is we don't actually need stable coins to use XRP. Right. No. But XRP will function if it could function as a decentralized segment asset right now. And that's how it should be playing out, but it's not, right? What we see happening is, we see stable coins are being pegged to the XRPL. So that's
XRP doesn't need stable coins, but stable coins need XRP.
Basically, right. So the on and off ramps, the banks, the exchanges, the liquidity corridors, I think that's where the interference is from what some people call the deep state. I'll just say Wall Street, right? In that sense, stable coins can essentially function like a CBDC with a different label. So I do see the positive of all of this, but stable coins right now seem to be monopolizing settlement in short term. Okay. And of course, that's going to create massive settlement demand on the very ledgers that they're issued on. So as stablecoin build takes hold and actually becomes enforced, you're going to start to see audits possibly with Tether. Maybe we'll see, right? But a lot of money is going to move from one place and it's going to eventually move into the other. I think it's going to move into more compliant stable coins like RLUSD.
I
And,
agree.
that's kind of how tokenized assets come into the picture, tokenized bonds, real estate, commodities, anything else that requires liquidity at a high
Right.
level. It's going to, the demand for that
Yeah.
infrastructure that underpins it. That's what XRP is. That's why all the banks are using the XRP on demand liquidity. So there's a time and place for it. And that kind of fits into the larger narrative where this is going.
Real world asset tokenization is it is somewhat talked about, but not to the degree that it needs to be, because it is happening. It's happening right now. So tokenization of gold, they do that in Dubai already, by the way. Gold is definitely already being tokenized. Tokenization of real estate, the biggest tokenization is going to be debt. That they're going to tokenize these T-bills. In fact, treasury bills can be issued on the XRP ledger.
I'm pulling something up for you guys.
Yep.
This is a new document from the WEF. I displayed it with Lynette Zhang. I sent it to her as well.
Yep.
Let me pull it up. It's about, it's from the WEF, by the way, who now Larry Fink is in charge. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Who has said the next evolution of these markets is a tokenization of securities? Yes.
So this is it. The asset tokenization. This is from 2025. Yes, it came out in May, but I read through this like 4 times just so I can try to explain it better. And it talks about asset fractionalization. Okay. That is kind of where XRP can fit in with the drips or drops, as they call it. They're talking about micro units of ownership. Look at that. The devil's in the detail. And then programmability with smart contracts. That's
absolutely. And the other thing is, think about this. Think about a global stock markets operating 24/7, 365, the way that we do now.
Well,
there you go.
It says, recently, Aurum Equity Partners
Private
launched
equity
the world's
investments.
first combined PE and debt tokenized fund valued at $1 billion on the XRP ledger.
Sure thing.
Again, this is being done very quietly, yet you hear nothing about it.
And that's right from the World Economic Forum. Now, the World Economic Forum is not a bureaucratic body. Remember who these guys are. These are the billionaire, multi-billionaire elites that have been controlling the movement of capital for centuries. This is not something that, it's just new. It's not a conspiracy either. I mean, you can follow the money, right? That's what we do, follow the money. And you can see where it's actually gone, who's been in control of it, how they've developed an educational system to literally, build a workforce without, this whole idea, the entrepreneurialness that is kind of like educated out of people, the risk that is educated out of people. I mean, we got a whole industry that is multi-billions, if not trillions of dollars, all based on the fear-based economy and what if. And it's the insurance industry, of course. These guys have made billions selling people paper products because, well, what if your house burns down? What if there's a flood? What if? Meanwhile, they themselves are out there doing what? Taking risk. And the whole fractionalized banking system. They take your money and they say, oh, you need to put it here and we'll give you 1, maybe 2%. While they take it and they can fractionalize that and multiple risk that they are willing to take on your money. Oh, but we've got your money insured. Why don't they encourage you to understand how to mitigate that risk for yourself?
Yeah.
So that you can go and make those tremendous profits. Hello, we're talking about a system that was constructed to keep and I'm going to say that I know this sounds wild for a lot of people, but to keep us in almost a feudal state.
Yes.
It's a different level of feudalism, but it's certainly feudalism nonetheless. In my mind anyway. And
I totally agree with you.
It is sad. But you're right, Burson. They are going to do that. That is one amazing document right there.
Well, I wrote this article on X that is being shadow banned, and it's about how XRP actually consolidates the global financial system. And I can't even find it on my X account, but apparently some people are saying it's still out there.
Mm.
But it kind of goes into detail. I saw one of the comments here asking about how long until XRP blows up. And it's very challenging to answer that question these days because it's very multidimensional. You kind of have to look at all these other angles to its use case, its adoption. Also, there's a coordinated effort on many different levels to suppress this. Like, there's no doubt of this. There's proof on chain and off chain as well.
Right.
So, I mean, it would take a long time to explain that right now. But the idea is to position yourself for where the infrastructure is going and kind of not rely on it really just to pay your bills. And that's what a lot of people seem to be doing.
Right.
Because there are a lot of other technologies that are still cyclical and I would say coupled to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which could lead us into the final segment of this conversation. They're still coupled together. So there's going to be a point where something might break or regulations might be enforced in a different manner to where this all this adoption that's been taking place, this real use case, this utility phase people keep talking about actually comes into fruition. But I don't think we're going to see that this cycle again. It's very possible, but again, there are many
It's
angles.
not probable. I have really agreed with that. It's not that I don't see a future where, and by the way, let me throw this out.
Sure.
A lot of people say, okay, $1,000, $10,000 for XRP. Let's remember, we are probably going to get to a point where we're not going to be thinking of the value of XRP in fiat dollars.
I agree.
You're going to be thinking of it in the value of XRP. So you're not going to measure it against a system that is a failed system because look, $10,000 5 years from now is 10 grand. It's what would that 10 grand buy you 5 years from now? You know? And so if you're thinking, okay, it'll buy you 1 XRP, well, what will that 1 XRP buy you? 10 XRP buy you? You see, I think a lot of times we need to change our mentality because we're thinking of this asset in comparing it, and this is how we measure its value. We're measuring it against a failing system. It's going to get, that system's being replaced.
Yes.
So in that capacity, how can you put any value on it in terms of,
Agreed.
it's going to be on its ability to be utilized at a monetary instrument, a store of value, unit of account, as a medium of exchange. And that's where it's going to find its value. Now, when that infrastructure comes in, and we know that it will, it's a when, it's not an if. We can see it. I just showed that Atlantic Council image there. We know that that's coming. When that happens, the massive amounts of volatility that we are experiencing, which is what you're talking about in this space, I think is going to significantly subside because the uncertainty will dissipate significantly. It won't be as uncertain. It'll be more certain than ever. Now, will some of these assets that people have put so much stock in maintain their position in value? I don't think so, because I think people will awaken to the reality of the utility of what's going on here. Yeah, and that's where I see XRP dwarfing what Bitcoin and Ethereum really are, because to me, those are that is the I think
that kind of the whole Bitcoin Ethereum thing kind of falls into the whole FOMO when you're factoring in the masses, right? But for XRP, just to kind of finalize that segment over there, is the way I've always shared it with people to simplify it in a sense, is that as XRP becomes increasingly used and widely accepted and adopted for tokenized assets, for the settlement of tokenized assets, real-time foreign exchange, sovereign debt swaps. Essentially, it comes down to a new source of global liquidity, right? And based on that demand, it will have to rise. With supply shrinking and demand only accelerating, scarcity increases, meaning basically the price goes up.
There's not enough of it to go around. There's only 100 billion
prices.
XRP, period.
Right. And this essentially creates such a powerful momentum and pressure on the XRP price, making even $1,000 not even close to the ceiling, but closer to the floor in a sense.
It is true. I mean,
basically an entry point.
Global liquidity. And I mean, I've often talked about, the money supply. We talked about that a lot. You got the broad and the narrow money supply, M1, M2, and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of folks don't seem to calculate this into the potential future tokenomics of what these things are. And when you think of the debt market, you're talking a $300+ trillion market.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to tokenize debt. You literally saw that on that thing document you just produced from the WEF.
That's correct.
This space right now is only 4.5 trillion, maybe.
Yeah.
Can you imagine bringing
you can't even fathom
trillion?
the numbers.
You cannot put a number on. And then, of course, when you're talking about the tokenization of the securities market, well, another $100 trillion, when you're talking about. And then, of course, you got the settlement rails. So a lot of these clearing houses, the DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corp, clears over $1 trillion of trades a day. They themselves use blockchain technology to facilitate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to even put into words, but you're talking about all the money. I know it sounds really, that's what it is. We are going to go into a totally tokenized system, fractional stocks. It isn't going to be one stock. It's going to be fractions of stock. Traded 24/7 in 365 real time. You are going to watch micro movements happen in microseconds. Do you know what one of the biggest movers of markets are today, of course? It's these automated market makers.
Yes, AI driven.
Yeah, AI driven. And you know how many thousands of trades they do in a microsecond?
Yeah.
It is, and they've looked at this as being a potential danger in a major market collapse because it can happen so lightning fast that nobody could catch it. But that's coming. And so this is where I see the decimation of the middle class. There will be the rich, there will be the poor, and then there will be the ultra poor.
Yeah, well, that's why they have a predetermined solution for them.
Yeah,
and
where 2030 you'll own nothing and you'll be happy because it's going to be basic, universal basic income. They're going to pull every string on what they got right up there on you, and you don't want that.
Yeah,
I see that is to, get yourself.
Yeah, and to your point, also, another article I wrote. I'm not trying to promote this.
No, but you've got some great insights, Verson. We all love it.
I mean, I wish I could articulate what I feel and see sometimes. I really don't. I have words for it though.
Yeah.
But while retail investors were kept in the dark and blocked from key markets going back to the lawsuit, right? It was institutional players who were gaining the most access to XRP through very private investment vehicles, regulatory sandboxes, also cross-corridor testing. We saw a lot of those glitches. We don't see them anymore. So basically the flows that were happening were real, yet none of it showed up on public charts, meaning somehow XRP was being adopted, it was being used, but somehow its price was being managed. And I explained this in detail about the spoof trading, the wash trading, how they were manipulating the
dark pools.
Yes, there's something big over there. And I don't, again, know the answers, but
sure,
if you look deep enough, you really find this out. Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, what's happening with Ethereum and Bitcoin, without going into too much detail, Bitcoin did hit its all-time high of 124,000, if I'm not mistaken. And what did it do? It peaked. Same thing it always does. The same cycle repeats. More speculators piled in on the way up, thinking they're riding the wave. And then the early holders of Bitcoin, the ones who were there from the beginning, are the ones shorting it. And
well, there was an active wallet. No, that's great. Well, I think just to add to that, there was an active wallet that was, dormant for 7 years. Just became active over the weekend, sold $2.5 billion of Bitcoin, rolled that into Ethereum, 2.2 billion into Ethereum. And you have to ask yourself, who is this wallet that has $11 billion worth of Bitcoin, sells, maybe 20% of it, rolls that into Ethereum? Bitcoin dominance is starting to tank. The DXY is starting to roll. My guess is we're in for a major, major move in all season. But I'll tell you what, most people that will see wealth appreciation like they have never seen it before will
I
probably
agree.
not realize those gains because they will FOMO, staying in, having not learned to understand or identify the psychology of the market.
Yeah.
And that's
And,
going to
and
be a travesty because the next crash that comes, I think, is going to wipe out the middle class. It won't exist.
I wouldn't be surprised. I try my best not to say things, harsh truths like that, but these are realities. And where it gets funny though with Bitcoin is the same people who are pushing the narrative are telling everyone else, don't sell, keep holding. But let's be honest then. Okay, well, if nobody's selling, then who exactly is cashing out at the top? It's the insiders, right? It's the early whales. It's everyone else who's left holding the bag. And these are the people who are incentivized on YouTube and these economists and experts. Like, I've lost so much respect for the people I once looked up to because they are incentivized to push a big lie. Okay. The very definition of a Ponzi scheme is it keeps repeating, it keeps consolidating wealth at the top. And the funny thing is the Bitcoin maxis, they keep refusing to see what's happening in front of them. And I don't blame them. I think some people are going to learn the hard way. And a lot of people have been liquidated. Again, it's if you're holding Bitcoin from the early days, somebody else who's dumb enough to buy at these high prices is basically giving their wealth to you. All right. This is firsthand knowledge as well, because when I started this YouTube channel, 2021, before it got shut down, we were picking up steam. We were doing very well. We had a lot of audiences. And I remember we were getting lots of offers from all these meme coins and scam coins that were pegged to Tether, offering us $5,000, $8,000 in Tether to promote these platforms and their tokens and their schemes. And guess what? I turned them down, all of them. And eventually they stopped reaching out because I think they got the memo. You know, I wasn't going to sell out my integrity for fraud. Right.
I really love you for that, Bersan, and I think a lot of other people.
Yeah, you know me, David.
I would never know you personally. Yeah. We're good friends. Yeah. And few people have been over to our home and shared, you know, a nice glass of wine and that. But it was our pleasure to have you over.
We went to Vegas together.
Yeah, we did. We were invited to go to a function, an event, and we went there together, just you and I. And we've had a lot of time together. And I will say this, I know this about you for certain.
So funny.
You everything you say on screen, you say off screen. You're the real deal. And Bible says, let another man's lips praise you. And I can definitely say that, you know, from what I've experienced with you, just as my close friend, your insights have been spot on. You have been offered big money to, like you just said there, sell out. We have as well, Judy and I. And we said, no, we're not doing it. We're not taking sponsors. We're not doing this. We just want to be able to, I want to help people. And I know you do too. We want to help people make it. And it's amazing that how they want to, you know, crush us to do that. And it's crazy, but you're doing a lot of good. You're doing a lot of good.
Well, thank you. And the feeling is mutual to you and many people in the community. You know, at the end of the day, though, it's just like, I'm looking out for myself as well. But as I'm looking out for myself, I'm sharing this on YouTube with everybody else, right? So it's not solely just I'm trying to help others. I'm also trying to help myself. And that's the reality. So I'm not going to go deceive my audience and tell them. No, I always tell people what I think. And even back in Vegas, if you remember, the guys hated me there when they invited me because I stood up to them.
Yeah, you told them what it was.
Yeah, they were promoting this Ponzi scheme. You remember?
I do remember. In fact, they were selling this, you know, it was software you could pretty much get for free, and they were selling it for $9,000 a pop. I'm like, wait a second here. But it was always wrapped in a different wrapper, but it was the same thing for all of it. So
what did I say to those guys? I said, why would you use this when you can eliminate the middlemen and intermediaries and just use XRP? And they had no response. And then they
and we actually were like, scared a few people that were going to invest in that and woke them up to reality. Now, if they had taken your advice and counsel at the time, because I think XRP is around 40 or 50 cents at that point, they would have been up almost over 500+% right now.
Well, I built some really good friendships from the
Yes.
people we had dinner with.
Yes.
Until
Great
today,
people.
they even watch
Yep.
the
Great
show.
people.
So
Yep. No, they're
um,
good people.
I built really good relationships with very wealthy individuals just from
Hmm.
that altercation. But I stood
Hmm.
up for what I believed in. I saw
I
what they
believe.
were doing. And I
Yep.
told them, despite the fact that they brought us and invited us there,
Yeah.
I told them what they were doing was wrong. So
Yeah, and I mean,
that was
hey,
fun.
we know what it's like, guys, to be wined and dined because we were up there in the Waldorf Astoria watching the Formula One race that somebody
Mhm.
else was paying for in
Yeah.
a very exclusive. In that room, there were literally multi-millionaires and a couple billionaires in the room.
Yeah. I
And
remember that.
Bursan literally, with one particular gentleman that I'm thinking of, a very, very wealthy individual, literally laid it on the line for him and probably saved that guy millions of dollars, I would
Mhm.
imagine.
He was about to, him and his wife were about to invest. And I said,
Yep.
after 2 beers, I said, listen, let me explain
Yep.
everything. And I just laid it out to them. I sent them all
You
the
did.
information I had. And now
Yep.
we're very good friends. So
And I'm happy.
finally,
But that's what integrity does, Versan. Because people are so used, even like a lot of the folks that I coach, and there's a lot of high net worth people in there, and you give them a perspective that they're not expecting. Why? Because they've always heard the song and the dance part of it.
yeah,
And you start to give them clarity and you give them that perspective. Now they're in a position where they can really start to make some decisions.
yeah.
It's not, I oftentimes say it's not about telling people what to do. It's about sharing with them techniques that they can employ to make these decisions for themselves.
Real quick, we
Yes, go
will
ahead.
shift into the whole Ethereum thing. I know I have
Yeah,
it in the title here,
you go right
but
ahead. Do that.
I want to also address a comment. I displayed it there because somebody was asking about XLM or
Okay.
mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've also written a detailed article explaining how XRP and XLM are very complementary to each other, hence the title. I encourage everyone to read it. It's all in there. Like you could see the relationships with Starlink, the United Nations, what they're doing with SHX. I think I mentioned that in there as well.
Yeah.
And Ripple's heavily invested in SHX. If you guys are in SHX, you certainly made a lot of money
Yeah, they
since
did
last
well.
year.
Mhm.
But we're going to shift the final segment of this conversation into Ethereum.
Super.
What's your take on Ethereum? It shot up, and everyone
I
seems to
definitely,
be now focused on Ethereum. Have you noticed?
yeah, I have noticed, but I mean, let's remember that Ethereum has been promoted by the big players right from day one. I mean, by the way, a lot of people don't realize this. There is an unlimited supply of Ethereum.
Yeah.
You
No
cannot add
scarcity.
to XRP. There's 100 billion, that's it. But Ethereum you can add to it, add to it, add to it, add to it. So where is this value coming from? Well, I think a lot of it is the corporate infrastructure that started it in the first place.
Yeah.
The
Well,
major
I mean,
whales, the disguised whales with Ethereum, and they're not so disguised. I think with Chainalysis and other tools, we could find out who these individuals are. But basically, they have carried this narrative of Ethereum being just this platform that can be built. We're going to do this and that, and like basically setting up a token factory, if you will, and creating a lot of wealth out of utterly nothing.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want, and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one, to platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise-grade systems. Everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation, where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality, right now.
yeah.
Give you an example. I worked in special enforcement up there in Canada, and I was working in the Vancouver Tax Service office. Now, while I worked there, one of the things that I was assigned in aggressive tax planning were a lot of the mining companies. Now, as we know, the lower mainland of British Columbia, massive gold and silver hub in the wide world. I mean, globally. Well, you would get a lot of these organizations that would start up. They would go out and they would put a little core. They'd get a pickup truck and go core a sample, pull it out of the ground, and they'd say, oh, we've inferred so much gold. Speculation alone would run these companies into the millions of dollars. Most all of it went to management fees, and it was just hype from day one.
Yes.
A lot of Ethereum projects have just been that hype from day one. The layer twos that have produced nothing is truly remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the value that is in Ethereum is this pushed narrative being sold to corporate America and corporations around the world. Ethereum is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever looked at the fees as the price increases, even with proof of stake, remember when it was proof of work.
Proof of bullshit.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, and I'm not, look, I mean, I get it. I mean, I have a little ETH, and stuff like that. But the thing is this, it's not that you cannot make money on some of this stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
what is its long-term intrinsic strategic value going to be?
Yeah.
I don't think I think that we're going to find that there are other mechanisms. Like, let me throw this one out there. I know a lot of people here, Hedera Hashgraph.
Yes, I was just Ethereum 2.0. Or
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think that is going to crush that. My personal opinion, 100% biased opinion. I think a Hedera Hashgraph, which by the way works hand in glove in partnership, with Ripple, is going to just explode beyond what a lot of people think. And that's my take on it.
To your point, I'm just going to compliment everything you said. Ethereum, by contrast, in my opinion, it was never about utility, because if you go back, see, whenever you're thinking about investments or anything, I always go back to the inception, right? Ethereum wasn't even at the top 3 before, if you remember. It wasn't until Jay Clayton from the SEC slapped the lawsuit on behalf of Wall Street.
And Bill Hinman gave it the free pass.
On Ripple, the XRP, they pushed it down in market cap, which is still bullshit. Market cap has nothing to do with something that's not even being regulated. And then suddenly Ethereum rose up to the ranks, right? But the market cap is also meaningless, which is one of the biggest scams in crypto, because behind the scenes also you had JP Morgan, you had Wall Street, you had Goldman Sachs, and you even had the Chinese Communist Party that were building. Not kidding.
And you had Vitalik Buterin over there speaking Chinese.
Yeah,
come on.
But they were building infrastructure around Ripple Net because they were trying to wrap their control mechanism around it. And this is what I now call Ethereum ETHgate 2.0, right? There's another coordinated political and financial reinforcement behind Ethereum now. And that is so interesting, but it's so clear to people with eyes that this is a mechanism to control something as disruptive as XRP is. And let's talk about its practical use case. Funny, because you mentioned how expensive it is. Right now, since 2022, I still have $32 of Tether sitting on MetaMask, but it costs $42 of Ethereum to move it.
Which is insane.
How's that practical for anyone? It's not practical for me, not for you, not for the listeners, not for the banks, not for the institutions. But the narrative continues that Ethereum is the future. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, it's speculation dressed up in fancy JavaScript code to trick people who are so naive into believing that participating in innovation, when really they're just being extracted. Okay?
Yeah, there is no need. We have proven that XRP, Hedera Hashgraph, XLM, other ISO tokens, that the cost of utilization is next to nothing. I mean 0.0001. I mean practically nothing. And happens within 3 to 5 seconds. Well, Ethereum, interestingly enough, if you want to move Ethereum or any ERC20 tokens, well, there's a big fee attached to it. But then if you want to speed it up, well, you can just add a little bit, few more dollars, pay another $20-$30, and you can get it practically instantly. Well, that's setting up a very tiered system. It just seems like it's
wealth extraction.
Yeah, it's wealth extraction. There is no doubt about it. I don't know how the global financial system can't run on those kind of rails.
Yeah. Well, here's where it gets interesting now, because a lot of people are going to attack us for this. You know how it is in the comments. You have bots, right? Even real people who act like bots. Okay. Will Ethereum survive in the short term? And I'm going to answer this. Of course. Why? It's because institutions have made it necessary to survive.
Yeah.
And they've also deceived enough of the population into rolling over their 401ks, their IRAs into Wall Street's hands all over again. So instead of holding real tangible assets, people are now giving back their money and they're controlled to this new digital ecosystem. And here's the critical point. Ethereum, interestingly, is already to a degree wrapped around XRP's infrastructure. And that's the backbone again. See how we go back to XRP? So yes, all the garbage that's being built on Ethereum might be used for certain functions like lowering transaction fees or creating utility theater. But in reality, it's still riding on XRP's rails if it's depending on that settlement mechanism.
Yeah,
so that's why I
good
encourage
point.
people
That is
to
a good
read
point.
a final article I put out recently. It's called on X, The Biggest Financial Cover-Up in Modern History. And it details the coordinated efforts by Wall Street, big banks, and big business to suppress the XRP price. And I'm not crazy. There's proof
No, you're
about
not.
this.
No, there's proof of it.
There's proof of it on chain and off chain as well. All right. It's not my specialty to track this stuff on chain. That's why I wish Edo was here. But the evidence is there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you know, the information's out there, and the bottom line is simple. Wealth, Bitcoin is a wealth extraction cycle, and Ethereum is a political institutional misdirection play now, which applies the same wealth extraction cycle. Will it go higher? Absolutely, because of everything we talked about from the beginning. They're going to inflate asset prices, okay?
All of it, all of it. Well, think about it this way too, though. If you're thinking of an investment and you're only thinking of it in terms of just your return on that investment, let's say, you know, Bitcoin doubles from where it is, goes to 240, 250,000. Let's say Ethereum does, you know, 4x, goes from the 4.7, 4.8 to, let's say, 20 grand. Well, XRP, if XRP just goes to $10, you're at a 5x, goes to 20, you know, and this is the thing, it's the return on the investment. I see these comments all the time. Oh, well, XRP is only $3 and this one over here is like 100 and some thousand. Yeah, okay, but if you were to track over the last 10 years which performed better with return on investment, it's been XRP. You can prove it. And in terms of like percentage gains in a massive way. But the narrative that paid FUD in the early days with Reddit, certainly, you know, like, why is XRP so attacked? I mean, these channels are so attacked with spam bots and everything you can imagine to kind of muffle the narrative down. I believe it's because it is something, and there may come a time when it will be outside of retail hands. In fact, remember at one point you could buy 10,000 XRP for $1,700 when it was 17 cents.
Those were the good days.
Good days. Now 10,000 XRP costs you $30,000.
It's not cheap. Yeah. So
at some point, at $30, 10,000 XRP is going to cost you $300,000.
Yeah. Well, to your point, though, it's like already most people can't afford to invest in assets, yet alone hold on to them, right? And that's because some people are buried in debt. Others are having to deal with the high inflation. Others are getting laid off, and they're dealing with all these issues. I mean, we do sessions with people. And, you know, it's sad. Like, I've given free sessions to certain people because of their situation. And that's a professional courtesy out of kindness from my heart, right? I've done that a few times, because I want to help people as well. But I understand there are a lot of people who are struggling and at the same time trying to find a way to make money and change their life or turn it around. And that's the really sad thing about this, right? It's like there is a wipeout to what you said.
They are killing the middle class so that they don't have the expendable money to do what they want to do. That's why it's all debt driven, is because most people are living on revolving lines of credit, or they've taken out lines of credit against their real property. They're becoming so encumbered that it is indentured servitude practically. They are beholden to the system.
Well, that's why conviction matters.
That's not freedom.
Yeah, and that's why conviction matters. I mean, know what you're investing in. Don't follow just hype, because sadly, and I say this with all due respect, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of flat out bullshit out there, and it's very easy to get distracted, right? So have conviction at the same time. You know, be smart, by diversifying your strategy, diversify your portfolio, and of course, make sure that you're positioned as well outside the system. That's how you minimize risk. Yeah, when the economy turns violent, and make no mistake, we're seeing the cracks. And they're not just going to hand over the legacy system, right? They're going to have to create the cracks for everyone to see. And when that comes, it's going to be very scary for people who are still locked in traditional 401ks, still counting on Social Security and retirement accounts. Like understanding how easily it is to confiscate these assets or inflate them away. That's really my final thought. It's like they're playing the same playbook while bridging us into a new system. There is pros and there are cons and there are opportunities as well.
Bursan, that is really well said. I think you're absolutely right over the target with it. I think that if we are strategic in our thinking and we're planning ahead and we're not allowing ourselves to be sucked into the psychology and the emotion of it. I mean, think about it in this way. You got all these individuals out there trying to scam you out of your XRP, which is apparently going to be worthless. Why would they be doing that? I don't know how many people that I've talked to that had thousands upon thousands of XRP stolen from them through various phishing scams. Guys, please be very careful with that. I know that there are people who are imitating us on X, by the way.
Oh my God.
And they're going out there. They're charging people for live streams, utilizing our brands to do it. I would never charge you for a live stream. Versam would not.
For a live stream? I mean,
yeah, live streams. We're doing a live stream right now. There's no charge. You get to hear it flat out.
Yeah.
They're scamming you with different scams, phishing scams. Phoning you up. One guy, it was on the news, lost $1 million worth of XRP because there was a ledger breach. The scammers got a hold of his contact info, phoned him up, and told him, very sophisticated scam, that they were Ledger. They were there. They needed to help him secure his wallet. And in his naivety, they took advantage of that and robbed him of over $1 million worth of XRP. So, be very, very vigilant and do not, subscribe to any of this nonsense. And on X, you got to check these accounts. There's even one with a blue check mark and it's Digital Outlook and the O's are zeros. That is not us. Our platform is at Digital Outlook, all lowercase 3. That's my X account. And this guy has scammed people out of.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, so but me, I work hard to remove people. Sadly, I have to waste my time doing this, but I do it.
Complain, and X won't take them down.
Yeah, I do it to protect people. There are a lot of impersonators. Even after this call on YouTube, you're going to start to see that. So, please. Not here to sell you anything really, but David's here. I'm here. There are many others in this space that are very reliable. You could reach us directly through our website.
Yes.
I always encourage people to do that. That's the fastest way you can reach me is directly through the website.
Yeah.
I will never.
What is your website, Bursan? Say it.
What?
Say your website. Give your web address.
Oh, www.blackswancapitalist.io.
Perfect.
And I will never reach out to you on WhatsApp, Discord,
right,
Telegram,
likewise,
Facebook. I don't use any of those things. All right.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I just have an X and I have an Instagram account, which is very personal. I try to show people I'm still human, right?
You are. You're a good guy.
Yeah. And that's it. So those are my final thoughts. And
thank you.
This was a great conversation. It was great. And we covered a lot of ground. So
we did. And I really am excited to get back and do these every Monday. Monday, I have now kind of taken Mondays and Fridays where I don't do any kind of coaching during those days anymore. Just have to make time for the things that matter, relationships, friendship, family, and of community, of course. And so, guys, I really love you so much. And, of course, we want you to do very well.
All right, guys, you get the point. Now, just to close out this live, let's see what the bad shorty got to say. Wendy.
Is your
Wendy?
crypto safe from personal hacks and scams? Upgrade to iTrustCapital.
Gemini card is here, guys. You can order them now. Go on Gemini and check it out for yourself. If you do not want to, that is up to you. But if you want to earn similar to earning points and like flight points, rewards, cash back and shit, guys, imagine earning XRP. Like, imagine earning Bitcoin. Imagine earning Ethereum. All this shit is possible. Just tap in. But now XRP is one of those. And I just want to be very clear here. The Winklevoss twins, or whatever their name is, very early investors in Bitcoin. They are Bitcoin maxis. It is no coincidence that they are now investing in such a cool product with XRP, guys. The maxis can't even hide it anymore. They're mad. They're censoring information. Shit is getting crazy, bruh.
Last week, we thought it was a really good sign that the
Shoddy.
SEC had interaction with XRP spot ETF applicants. In fact, they actually communicated to them, and these applicants, they modified their XRP spot ETF applications based off of the SEC recommendations. However, it was just announced that the SEC postpones its decision to the Wisdom Tree Spot XRP ETF. This is not great news, but I do think that the SEC needs a lot more time to figure out exactly when, how, or what they need to do to approve all these crypto spot ETFs. And I really do think that once one gets approved,
shit is coming fast.
So we're going to be patient with that, okay? Again, I know this is not super great news, but we do have some positive news about XRP, that Gemini finally launched their XRP credit card. So basically, it's a very similar credit card, just like the one that I use for Costco. So anytime you spend and you use the Gemini credit card, you get XRP in rewards. 4% on gas charging ride shares, 3% on dining, 2% on groceries, and 1% on other purchases. Some partnered merchants offer up to 10% back in XRP. Also, too, RLUSD is now supported for spot trading pairs on Gemini for US users, and we do know that Gemini did file an IPO. And in this filing for an IPO, Ripple extended a $7 million credit facility to Gemini before the IPO filing, which is great, fine, fantastic. And honestly, this is a really, really well thought out marketing tool on behalf of Gemini. So I absolutely.
Not only that, it is such a great use case for RLUSD in terms of the IPO coming out for Gemini.
Absolutely love that for them. So I want to know in the comments if you guys are going to get the XRP credit card from Gemini. I'm personally not. I've got my my Costco credit card right now that I use. But fast forward a little bit. Charles H. from Cardano. He went ahead, he went live over the weekend or late last week, and he kind of talked about what's going on with Ripple. He said that I had a great conversation with Brad about XRP. And Charles also said that in the video that Lace, the native Cardano wallet, which is very similar to MetaMask or Phantom, and if you do anything in the Cardano ecosystem, you definitely should get it. I have it and I use it. It basically says that Lace will soon support XRP. And then he goes on to kind of talk about sorry, my head's itching. He goes on to talk about interoperability and about the Midnight airdrop, which again, Midnight is a privacy sidechain thingamabobber on Cardano, and the airdrop incorporates a lot of different cryptos. XRP, Solana, Avalanche, BNB, BAT, Bitcoin, Ethereum, of course, ADA, and a couple other ones. But the reason why this is so important is because interoperability is going to be the future for crypto projects, especially projects that are made in America that are able to collectively communicate with other crypto projects and partner together and really just kind of encompass the communities together.
Guys, I'm going to close this out by saying, and then we'll have some lo-fi on. I'm going to close this out by saying, guys, the Gemini credit card, crypto card, whatever you want to call it, guys, you can change the rewards you are earning. So I can swipe my card and be like, you know what? I want Bitcoin for this reward. Boom, swipe, and then I get it in Bitcoin. Now, fuck Bitcoin. We're Team XRP, and we're going only XRP here. But that is something to think about when you're looking into stuff like this. The DeFi market is here. The entire financial system is changing now. And you go ahead and you look at the crypto bubbles, and you're like, what the fuck is going on, guys? We got almost a 8% drop across the board in the crypto markets today. This is pure manipulation. Nothing else. There's nothing else to say. This is pure manipulation. All right? So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. A lot of great information in this live stream. Please go back and rewind and this is really just to provide the information for you guys. I will have more videos coming out for you guys a little bit later concerning everything in terms of DeFi and what is to come. But get ready. These next couple weeks and this next month, probably going into September, will be absolutely insane. Yeah, there's not much else to say, bruh. Shit is getting crazy, you feel me? Oh, is this the lo-fi girl? I thought she graduated.
And turn website layouts into an art form with Wix Studio.
Type shit. And we go, we'll just check XRP's price. We're down to 285 again. We're coming back up a little bit. But you look at this is pure manipulation, guys. They're trying to shake people out for sure. Just chill. Just chill. Stack up if you want to stack up. If not, just chill. That's all you have to do. Alright, guys? Lock the fuck in, alright? I'm going to let this play for a little bit. I'll probably end the stream around 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we're locked in, y'all. I hope you all have had an amazing day. Hope you all have been keeping up with the channel. If not, it's cool, bruh. This ain't for everybody. And a lot of people aren't going to go this deep into crypto. So, that is about all I have to say. You feel me? Yeah, I've enjoyed it. You feel me? I've enjoyed it. I will keep updating the channel as I see fit, y'all. But, we'll see. I want to cover some more scams that have happened recently. And we will get to that. But there's a lot more important things that happen right now. We're getting prepared for the bull run. But man, I mean, you know shit's going crazy when the rug pulls are just rampant. So we can expect a crazy run to happen pretty soon here. I would expect. Yeah, that's about it. I'll be back if I think about anything else to say in just a little bit here. But just insane stuff going on, guys. Market wide, we are seeing a lot of losses. But everyone just needs to calm down and chill. Alright? We're about to go on a fucking rocket. I promise you. Alright guys, that's going to pretty much do it for today. I hope you all learned something, but with that being said, guys, XRP to the moon, they are clearly manipulating. You already know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen, bruh. And you even heard it in that chat that they said. They might not have control right now. And the thing is like, we might eventually at some point lose control and not be able to have XRP. And I think they know that. And so the people that do have XRP right now, they are trying to shake out. That's a fact. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it up to that. Feel me? No gay niggas allowed on the channel. Only real niggas. Real niggas only. You feel me? It's been an absolute pleasure. I will catch you guys later. Also, we got a short video dropping at 6 o'clock as well. I'll see y'all. You feel me?